Hey, I'm Cameron Hester alongside Rosemary Joe and Phil Santich, and we will be taking you through our journey this quarter creating the AR Arcade Classics game. We're going to take you through a little introduction of our project and a rundown of our development, then we'll show you the game in action and look to the future in the conclusion. Let me tell you a little bit about our project first. The motivation for our game stemmed from an uptick in the demand for both retro arcade games and augmented reality technology. We wanted to bring the nostalgia of these classics and infuse it with the immersion of AR. A little about our project. We implemented new renditions of Pong, Tetris, and Pac Man in AR, complete with intuitive touch controls, AR features such as placing and adjusting the arena, and retro UIs and sound effects. Now, on to our development process. For our main technology, we chose to use the Unity game engine as it provided many of the AR tools we needed out of the box with the AR Foundation and XR Interaction Toolkit. They allowed us to easily do things such as plane detection, placing and adjusting our arenas, and provided us easy build support to both iOS and Android platforms with the ARKit and ARCore APIs. Unity also enabled us to develop game logic quickly, providing us with tools for game physics and collisions, as well as the UI and sound effects. For our development cycle, we followed a simple process. We chose our tasks and created feature branches to implement them in. When we were ready, we formatted with C# here and made a pull request. The team would then go through with playtesting the game and code review, and if everything was looking good, we merged into the main branch. Moving on to my development, I worked on setting up AR features for every game, implementing the ability to place, interact with, and adjust our virtual game arenas prior to play. We can see on the right here that this Pong arena has been placed and it's been selected for adjustment by the green border here. For Pong, I worked on the touch controls for the player paddle, the enemy paddle AI, and the collisions for the game. One of the main challenges here was working with the small scale in AR, and some adjustments had to be made, such as altering the collision detection offset. I also helped with the UI and arena design for this. We have some code here on the right. This is working with the enemy paddle. For Tetris, I worked on a script to dynamically draw the Tetris arena upon placement, and I worked on designing the prefabs for the Tetrominoes and implementing their spawn behaviors. One challenge I encountered with Tetris was not being able to edit the arena in the Unity editor since it was dynamically created, so I had to do a lot of build testing to sort out the arena. I also helped with the lateral movement and rotation of the blocks and some of the grid management and row clearing. We have some more code here. This is dealing with creating the arena. For Pac-Man, I worked on a waypoint system to allow smooth linear movement of Pac-Man and the ghosts in the arena, the touch controls for Pac-Man, and the collision events in the game. Nav meshes would not work very well with the small AR scale, and it couldn't really be dealt with, so we went with this waypoint system instead, and that was one of our biggest deviations from the plan. I also helped with some of the ghost behaviors and placement of certain arena elements. Now I'll pass the mic off to my colleagues Rosemary and Phil to walk you through their development on the project.
Hi, this is Rosemary, and here are my highlights. For the Pong game, I helped with the 3D Pong arena. Also, I worked on all the sound effects for the ball hitting the paddle, ball hitting the wall, and when a point is scored. The challenges in this part was learning Unity using the editor, which can be very complicated. Also, the scripts are written in C#, so I had to learn some C#. On the right hand side here, you can see the Sound Manager script that was used for Pong. For the Tetris game, my highlights included working on the check for line clears, adding the logic to check for full lines and clear it if the line was full, and shift all the rows down. Also, I added all the sound effects, including the audio for beginning of the game, rotating and drop movements of tetrominoes, and row clearing. The challenges here was most of the audio for this game was not available, so I personally had to record them. On the right hand side here is the script, part of the script used for the checking for line clears. And for Pac-Man, my highlights included adding the scripts for each of the individual ghosts They all had different behaviors. Blinky moves right to Pac-Man. Pinky tries to ambush by staying a few waypoints away. Inky stays in the shadows by calculating a position based on Blinky and Pac-Man. Clyde alternates between random roaming and chasing Pac-Man when close. Also, I worked on the audio for this game too. I added all the sound effects, including the introduction of the game, the looping siren sound, interrupting audio for Pac-Man eating the power pellets, and frightening ghosts, and then also when a ghost catches Pac-Man audio. The challenges here were the ghost speed did not match Pac-Man's speed, and Cameron helped me to adjust that. Also, most of the audio was personally recorded for this game too. On the right hand side, you can see this is one of the scripts for Blinky for his behavior of choosing which way to go next.
For highlights, I added scoring, game over conditions for Pong, created UI for score display, and created restart and home buttons and associated logic. Challenges was I was down 3 days with fever, losing valuable development time, and I underestimated development time with a lot of stuff. A lot of obstacles kind of cascaded on each other. Slow to study and research the right stuff, and Git issues and associated learning curves also contributed. For Tetris, the highlights were similar. Implemented touch controls for rotating, sliding left, right, increased downward movement. Implemented game UI for score, top score, level, next block, and literal mini Tetrino next block display. Challenges were more time slips and the previous time slip, resulting in more work to try to catch up. Still overestimating simple stuff that I thought was simple would take a lot longer and become a time sink. And heuristic challenges or changes. Sometimes you don't know something wants to look some way unless you know it's not going to work in another way. So sometimes upstream decisions impact downstream development, and that's kind of what I ran into a lot. Pac-Man highlights was ported in prefabs for Maze, players and pellets and sounds, implemented score and lives logic, implemented home button, and challenges were still some slight overestimations, but by the time we got to Pac-Man it wasn't that bad, and the entire development process was a terrible time sink. We couldn't really even use debug tools like breakpoints and build and run, so it impacted dev time. Thank you for your time, and those are kind of my highlights for the 3 games. Bye.
Alright, hope you enjoyed learning about the awesome stuff Rosemary and Phil worked on. Let's talk about the deviations from our project plan now. First up, we have the switch from nav meshes to the waypoint system I discussed in my development section. And we also had some minor task swaps toward the end of the quarter for the sake of efficiency and playing to our strengths. These tasks were still part of the original plan, they were just carried out by different teammates. Finally, let's talk about what we learned this quarter. We all came in with little experience in game development or augmented reality development, so our growth in both categories has been immense. We learned a ton about Unity and C# as we went along, and the development of AR features like tracking planes, placing and interacting with virtual objects, and how to handle some of the quirks of AR, like working with small scales and tricky transformation hierarchies. We also grew a lot as a team, learning better how to communicate, manage a project, and make use of version control, code reviews, and group programming. Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for, let's see these games in action. Okay, we can see our home page here. We're going to select Pong and start it up. We can look around to do plane tracking, and we're going to place the arena. Keep an eye out for the retro UIs. We can select the arena, we can move it, rotate it, and scale it. So we're going to start this game up. We're going to have to go quick. You can hear the sounds when the ball hits the wall and the paddle. And we're going to show a goal here in a second. You can hear the sound. There we go. And we can see the UI element. You can press the restart button to start a new game. And now we're going to show the enemy winning. This will be a different UI element. There we go. So we can press home and start up Tetris. We have UI elements for the top score, the level, and the next Tetramino. You can see that the blocks fall and they can be rotated and moved, and there are sounds associated with that. And now we're going to show a line clear. There we go. That's the best sound. Alright, we're going to simulate a game over. We can press the restart game button and get a new game going. And we're going to show another quick game over, just to show that we can use the home button. Okay, now we're going to jump straight into Pac-Man. We have that startup sound. You'll be able to hear the siren. Pac-Man's gobbling up all of these pellets, and the score is increasing. You can see his lives as well. We're going to grab a power pellet here, and now we can eat the ghosts. There's a sound associated with this mode and eating the ghosts. Whenever this phase is over, they will all come back out of the ghost house. There we have it. Now we're going to show the win condition for Pac-Man. He's gotten all the pellets, so he won the game. And we can restart. There's the death sound for Pac-Man. And if he dies 3 times, then it's game over. Alright, and then we can hit the home button and go back to the home page. Okay, now that you've seen our game in action, let's see what the future holds for our project. We will likely not be releasing our application commercially, as we would prefer not to be sued by the companies behind these classic games. But we do believe that this project will be a great portfolio piece, and we'd love to continue polishing it with things like animations for a more dynamic play experience. And that's about all we have. We just want to say thank you for checking out our project, and it's been a really fun ride.